Good morning and welcome to the Dumpster Fire 3.2, part of AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh. How are we all doing today on this lovely Tuesday? It is going to be a hot one. Do not let the clouds fool you, folks. It's going to be hot. It's going to be toasty. Don't be a dingus like I was last Tuesday. I had some stuff to do, and then I ended up going swimming with a friend of mine. We went to an outdoor pool. First time this summer. The rain had finally let up enough to justify going to an outdoor pool, so we went to Discovery Bay here on the edge of town, and it was all right. It was fun and games until I forgot, even though I had sunscreen on, it's like, oh yeah, we've been in the water now almost 2 hours. Yeah, sunscreen doesn't last 2 hours in the water, and my upper back got absolutely scorched. It is still peeling. It's nowhere near as bad as last year when I went to Las Vegas and I came back that first time around, that it was like my whole body. No, this time it was just my upper back. The rest of my body seemed to have been fine, which, okay. But it was a crazy, crazy weekend. Once again, folks, if you are going out there, don't let the clouds fool you. Wear your sunscreen. Stay hydrated. Stay cool because it is going to be hot. And I will go ahead and give you all a quick check of your weather right now. Currently in Fort Lupton, we are looking at 88 degrees, a high of 99, a low of 63, fair skies, wind gusts of a whopping 2 miles per hour. Currently in Loveland, we are looking at 78 degrees, a high of 98, a low of 65, partly cloudy skies, wind gusts of a whopping 1 mile per hour. Currently in Windsor, we are looking at 79 degrees, a high of 98, a low of 62, partly cloudy skies, no wind. And currently on the home campus of Greeley, we are looking at 78 degrees, a high of 98, a low of 62, partly cloudy skies, and wind gusts of up to 4 miles per hour. So you get a nice little breeze in there too, which should be okay. This weekend was absolutely one of the craziest, the fourth busiest weekend in movie history. And it all had to do with Barbenheimer. Yes, it happened. Barbenheimer actually happened. It wasn't just a meme of people going to see both Barbie and Oppenheimer the same weekend or even the same day. This was an actual thing. Let me go ahead and pull up a source here for y'all. Where did it go? This is coming from avclub.com. According to them, more than 200,000 people bought tickets to watch Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day. I did it here at the Cinemark. People thought I was joking. They thought I was crazy. And maybe I am. But I did it anyway. I dressed up. I went full send with the memes of like the Goodfellas cast and just a bunch of people in nicer clothes going, tickets to Barbie, please. I dressed up. I put on a nice dress shirt. I put on a tie. I put on nice jeans, nice shoes, the whole 9 yards. And I saw Oppenheimer first. Absolutely incredible movie. It had my jaw on the floor. Christopher Nolan is an absolute genius. How there were zero VFX shots in this movie, zero CGI shots, I will never know. To recreate the Trinity test, the first test of an atomic explosion, without CGI, but also stopping short of dropping an actual nuke, is absolutely, that's technical wizardry on a level that we have never seen. Nowadays, it's easy. You want to do a big crazy stunt like that, you just CGI it. You just VFX that craziness. But no, Christopher Nolan took it to a whole other level. 3-hour-long movie. It did not feel like 3 hours whatsoever. It was just honestly just an incredible sight to behold. And I really hope that we get more and more of this kind of wave of more people going. We've kind of seen it, but I just hope it happens more, like more and more people willing to shoot on film and willing to go back to more practical effects rather than keep overworking these VFX houses, because it's just absolute insanity right now. Like, my heart goes out to every single one of them because they have to meet such tight deadlines and work on who knows how many movies all at the same time. My heart goes out to all of them. And then we had Barbie. And Barbie, on paper, a movie where you're making fun and basically holding this iconic brand accountable for perhaps some negative effects some might say that the brand has had over the years, but at the same time pay so much homage and reverence to it, and at the same time make this hilariously very, very adult film. It's such a risky endeavor, but for Warner Brothers and for Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, the whole cast, absolutely just insane. I was laughing way too much. I was even laughing by the end of it. It was absolutely, on paper it shouldn't have worked, but it did. That is such a risky gamble, and it paid off. So it goes out to all of them. Same thing with the cast of Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Florence Pugh, Robert Downey Jr. The cast list of both movies is just so utterly big. I would spend all day rating off the cast here, but you're not here to hear me talk about you're not here to hear me talk for very long, and I'll get it back to the music here shortly. But honestly, this coming selection of music here, I'm honestly in a little bit of a chipper mood. And it has nothing to do with Barbenheimer or anything like that. It's because I, much like you, being part of this industry, obviously I have to, stay up to date on things. I have to be on top of what's going on in the world. While granted, this is an entertainment show. I'm not here to talk about the news. I'm not here to be another talking head on TV trying to tell people what to think about certain events by politicians. That's not who I am. I'm here to be your escape from all of that. However, this was just a little too much for me, and I'm only going to very briefly mention it, and then I'm just going to let the music speak for me, because it can do it a lot better than I can. Honestly, it's iconic music. You'll know who it is momentarily. But we live in a world of choice. We have so many options, so many other things that we can do with our time. We have so many TV shows we can watch, so many movies we can watch, so much music to listen to, so many things that we can do. Literally, the options are nearly endless right now. You can listen to me. Shameless plug. But yet, we go on social media, and rather than, just being like, oh, look, this person got married. Oh, hey, this person had a baby shower. Good for them. We choose to spend it fighting over beer cans and a country song. I'm not even going to go into detail. But, people, we have so many better things to do. So many of these things that people do online to get this kind of attention are purposely meant to elicit a response. They want you to fight online for hours and hours. They want you to be angry and divided. We don't have to be that way. We have so many other choices at our discretion rather than just being like, ooh, going off on this random Facebook rant about a country song or about a can of beer. There's plenty of other beer brands out there. There's plenty of other country songs out there, even by the same artists, the same companies. We don't have to give these types of things our attention, but yet we are so drawn to it like a moth to a flame. People ask, when will this end? I say it ends when we finally say, you know what, enough, rather than having to bite the bait every single time and start arguing with people online. We just give up. Let me rephrase. We just stop doing that. We just scroll on, let people do what they want to do. We don't have to be part of the fights. We can choose to do anything else. It's like, oh, I don't agree with this music video. You don't have to watch the music video. I don't agree with what this company supports. You don't have to, and it cuts both ways. If one company is leaning more towards your side of the political spectrum and you want to support them, you can do it. I know that sounds controversial, but you're allowed to here. That's the point of America. If this country artist is singing a song with views that align with yours, you're allowed to listen to it. Now, there is an exception here. If there is a call for violence or things of that nature, if basically a person is calling on people to hurt someone else or something else, then yeah, no, that's a line crosser for me. It's like, no, you can, excuse me, you can like what you like, but if those beliefs involve you hurting people or discriminating against people, then no, that's where you draw the line with me. Then it's like, no, it's like, just don't do that. Don't be that person. Yesterday, I tried not to get sucked into it, and I chose to be funny about it because that's just what I do. I saw this thread of people going off about this Bloody Country song. I'm not even going to say the name or the artist because I'm not even going to give them that kind of attention. You probably know who it is. I'm not going to say his name. And I just simply commented this: I leave for a few hours, and here you all are fighting still, when you could be literally doing anything else. We don't have to be divided. But yet here we are. And I myself am tired of it. I'm tired of all the fighting on all sides. It's not, oh, this side's evil, oh, this side's evil. No, I'm done with all of it, y'all. It don't matter anymore. I'm done. So that means I'm going to double down even more on making this show an entertainment-based product, and that will be the only slot of airtime I even devote right now to this malarkey, because I've had enough of it. If other shows want to base their whole show off of that, that's on them. They're more than allowed to. I'm not going to. I'm going to take this show that I have put so much time and so much energy into trying to make it the best and funniest show I possibly can, and I'm going to keep doing that. This show is not going to be a news show. I'm not a news reporter. I am here to make you all laugh at my dumb jokes. I am here to try to be clever and witty and give you all the weather, because we all need to know the weather. I am here to help provide an escape from all of the other garbage in the world right now. And I'm going to get back to it. But before I do that, I'm just going to let the music express really what I'm feeling, because Billy Joe Armstrong does a lot better job at doing this than I do. So I'm just going to let it get back to the music here on AIM Student Radio. I will be back, more than likely after the top of the hour. But before I do, let me crack open my Mountain Dew Baja Blast Energy. I paid $20 for a 12-pack of this on Amazon because you can't find it anywhere else. And I love it so much, and I'm probably going to buy more. Enjoy the music. And welcome back to the Dumpster Fire 3.2, part of AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh. I am back from my little mini rant there, but I got it over with. I got it out of my system, and now we are back to the entertainment. So this past weekend, as I stated before, it was Barbenheimer, just one of the absolute craziest phenomenons that we have seen in recent memory, where two movies debuting with vastly different tones and vastly different target audiences on the same weekend. That's nothing new. Counter-programming has happened more often than not. We just saw it around the same weekend in December of last year, actually, when we had Avatar: The Way of Water and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish debuting the same weekend. Two vastly different movies. One's an animated kids movie starring an adorable cat who can kick some major butt, and the other one's Avatar. We got blue people in 3D fighting humans and monsters. You know, two vastly different movies, but both managed to make a sizable amount of money. But the Barbenheimer phenomenon, where people went so far as to go on Etsy, make shirts, make fan art promoting this mashup of the two movies, and actually go out in droves. Over 200,000 people bought tickets to watch both Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day. I was one of them. I do not regret it for a single second, even if I was at the movie theater for almost 7 hours but it was so worth it just to be part of such a crazy time. And economically, it paid off beautifully. I'm reading this article right now from Variety. Barbie, and I quote, Barbie ended up with $162 million in its first weekend of release, above Sunday's already record-breaking estimate of $155 million. The Warner Brothers film, starring Margot Robbie as the plastic, fantastic doll, declined just 9% on Saturday to bring in $43.7 million on Sunday. That's a lot of money. But Oppenheimer also made an absolutely insane amount of money too, given the fact that Oppenheimer from minute one already was kind of a limited, already had a very kind of limited, kind of niche audience. While Christopher Nolan is a very acclaimed director, he has his fan base, which I very much am part of. I love Christopher Nolan's films. I love the way he approaches cinema, his use of the chiaroscuro, the light and dark, the mind-bending plot twists, the practical effects, all the IMAX that he uses to shoot all of his movies since The Dark Knight. He just cranks it up to a whole other level. You just know with his films, anytime a new one comes out, it is a spectacle. It is something to behold. He is an auteur of cinema. And I read again from the same Variety article. Oppenheimer 2, and I quote, Oppenheimer 2 beat expectations with $82.4 million, slightly higher than Sunday's huge $80.5 million projection. At the international box office, the biopic about the father of the atomic bomb added $98 million for a global tally of $180 million. Even with a box office draw like Nolan at the helm, it is a remarkable start for a 3-hour-long period piece with little action and lots of talking. It's one of the best starts ever for an R-rated film, as well as a biographical drama. And that is true. I saw Oppenheimer. Besides the Trinity test, which is basically the main focal point of the movie and everything that came with it, all the ramifications that came as a result of said Trinity test, and then the usage of atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is not a action movie. If you were expecting to watch car chases, people fighting, stuff getting a lot of explosions, there are explosions, but mostly centered around one scene. It is a talky movie. There is a lot of dialogue. This is still very much a, how do I say this? It's a limited audience. You know, this isn't a typical summer blockbuster. But because of the fan base of Christopher Nolan, of course that helped. We all went to go watch it. I mean, what more can I say? And I'll go ahead and read a little bit more from this article here. And I quote, "The cultural craze of Barbenheimer, complete with double features of the seemingly different blockbusters with matching release dates, helped to fuel the biggest collective weekend at the box office since the pandemic. More impressively, the box office powered to its fourth biggest weekend in history, with over $300 million industry-wide. The top 3 weekends of all time were led by the debuts of sequels and massive franchises. 2019's Avengers Endgame, which had $402 million collectively. 2018's Avengers Infinity War, $314 million collectively. And 2015's Star Wars The Force Awakens, which had $313 collectively. And I'll read more from this article. Both of the rapturously reviewed big-budget films managed to crush stratospheric pre-release expectations. Heading into the weekend, analysts were anticipating a $100 million to $110 million start for Barbie and a $50 million debut from Oppenheimer. For the record, either of those results would have been notable for non-franchise films in the heat of summer. This phenomenon was absolutely ludicrous. We already had high numbers for both films. This surpassed all of them. Oppenheimer has kind of right now a current monopoly, you could say, or a current very strong foothold, I should say, on IMAX screens across the planet. Keep in mind, because of Oppenheimer's length and its runtime, so 3 hours long, there were only 30 IMAX theaters on the entire planet that could show the full 3-hour-long actual film, not digital, actual film print of Oppenheimer. The platters had to be extended because the film barely fits on the platter. The film literally could not go more than 3 hours because that would necessitate construction of even bigger platters, which would have taken who knows how long, given the supply chain limitations right now. And the demand, because really the only time that you're ever going to see movie theater chains such as IMAX go towards the expense of upgrading their theaters, especially film theaters, is basically for a Christopher Nolan film, as he is really kind of the last or the only one who's really championing film IMAX in such a way like he is. And this was absolutely insane. And and then you have obviously your film IMAX projectors. Like I said, there's only 30 of them on the entire planet that are able to project and show the full film print of Oppenheimer. This film reel, all put together, it's a 3-hour-long film. This film reel is 11 miles long. It weighs 600 pounds. Christopher Nolan with this movie basically took IMAX projectors to their absolute limit. If he tries to make any movie longer than this, they're just going to have to build new platters. Will they do it? Who knows? I mean, sky's the limit. He is one of the very few people in the industry that has that kind of pull. But also, most of the IMAX theaters around the planet, regardless of whether they were projecting film or digital, were showing Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is projected to be in theaters for quite a long time, as some of the demands that Christopher Nolan made when he left Warner Brothers and decided to partner with Universal to produce and distribute Oppenheimer. He asked for a theatrical window of at least 100 days, so that means it's going to be a while before we see Oppenheimer on digital, before we see any physical Blu-ray, DVD releases, 4K Blu-ray releases, before we see it anywhere that you can rent on like Google Play, Prime Video, anything like that, for at least 100 days. So it's going to be a while, folks. And it's all done precisely. This movie is meant to be watched in a theater on the biggest screen possible. I am part of this movement as well. If you are going to watch this movie, take a look at your local Cinemark. Look at the screens that they have. If they're showing it, for example, in either theaters 1 and 2 or 11 and 12, those are the 4 biggest screens on the theater or in the theater here at the mall. If you can watch it on one of those screens, please do it. Watch it on the biggest screen possible. We have an IMAX theater in Loveland. It's only digital IMAX, but it's still IMAX. If you can get out there to watch it, go for it. This movie is not meant to be watched on a phone, maybe not even on small TVs. This is a film that was designed from minute one to be shown on the biggest screen possible. I honestly want to go watch it again. If I can manage to squeeze in time to go to the IMAX in Loveland and go watch it in IMAX, I will do it. And if not, I'll go watch it again in theaters. I'll watch it here at the Cinemark. I don't care. This is absolutely a massive, massive phenomenon. And I am glad to have been part of such craziness. I went with a friend of mine. My friend dressed up in all pink. Barbie fan. I went in my suit I just went in my nice clothes to be part of the memes. And that's another thing with me. When it comes to these kind of memes, these kind of pop culture phenomenons, I go full send on these kind of things. At first, people thought, oh, you're joking. You're not going to go watch Barbie and Oppenheimer the same day. I went and did it. You're not going to go dress up. I went and did it. I saw so many people, even at the Crest here in downtown Greeley. I was out there for a Friday Fest this past week. The Crest was also showing Barbie. There were girls going there dressed up on a Friday night, all dressed up in pink, all dressed up like Barbies. This past on Sunday when I was doing my Barbenheimer feature, there were people going dressed up. It was a phenomenon. It was absolutely crazy. And this might actually be one of the last quote unquote happy weekends for Hollywood while these writers and actor strikes begin to truly take hold. Make no mistake about it, folks. There's a lot of movies in the pipeline that are still going to be released, so new movies aren't really going to go away anytime soon. But a lot of movies that were scheduled to come out next year or even the year after that, we might be waiting a while for those. Granted, right now there is a little bit of a backlog currently in Hollywood and even in the streaming world, as so many shows this past year got filmed that should have been filmed multiple years ago because of the pandemic. So we are getting a lot of these. But as for new work, it might be a while. These writer strikes are projected to be significant. The writer strike has been going on since May. The actor strike just began about a week and a half ago. So we'll see how it goes. Personally, I hope and pray as a consumer of cinema and television, and also wanting people to get their fair share of the pie because there's a lot of money in Hollywood. I support the writers. I support the actors that are striking, that are currently on the picket lines. I myself do not work for a struck company. I am a college radio DJ. No one else writes this show. There's no staff. It's just me. So for right now, this show will continue, and I will continue to provide entertainment. However, if I ever get to a point that I do work for a company that does work with these unions, if I am a member of these unions, if they call for a strike to get a better deal, I'm all for it. There's a lot of money to be made in Hollywood. There are so many. You can say that there's some people that are grossly overpaid. But you can also say there's a lot of people that are grossly underpaid. There's so much money here. There's more to be made. And I will go on the record in saying this. If a studio like A24, the indie darling, can give better deals to their actors and to their writers than a behemoth like a Warner Brothers or a Disney or a Netflix, it's not that the big studios can't afford it. They just don't want to. So yeah, shout out A24. If y'all ever want to use me for something, I'm game. I know y'all give a fair shake. And that's it for this segment right now. When I come back, we'll have more weather, and we'll see where it goes. Remember, this is a dumpster fire after all. So up next, we got Irresistible by Fall Out Boy. Enjoy. And welcome back to the Dumpster Fire 3.2, part of AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh. Let's go ahead and get a quick check here of your weather. It's only getting hotter. Looks like the clouds have cleared up a little bit. However, just because the sun isn't completely out there and shining doesn't mean that you're safe from sunburns. If you got sunscreen, if you're going to be outside, wear your sunscreen. Keep your aloe vera close if it's already too late, like I had to find out last week. And also stay hydrated. Dehydration and sunburns do not go well together. They're not fun to deal with. Heat stroke is nothing to mess with. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, it is not fun. I've been there. Don't do it, please. Pretty please with the can of Baja Blast on top. That just tells you clearly what I'm thinking of right now. And here we go with a quick check of your weather. Currently in Currently in Fort Lupton, we are looking at 89 degrees, a high of 97, a low of 63, fair skies, no wind. Currently in Loveland, we're looking at 84 degrees, a high of 96, a low of 66, fair skies, no wind. Currently in Windsor, we're looking at 84 degrees, a high of 97, a low of 62, fair skies, no wind. And on the home campus of Greeley, we are looking at 84 degrees, a high of 97, a low of 61, sunny skies, wind gusts of a whopping 3 miles per hour. So it's still hot out there, folks. Make sure you got your sunscreen. If it's too late, get your aloe vera out, wear a hat if you like wearing hats. If not, wear sunscreen on the top of your head. I have a shaved head. I have to put so much sunscreen on the top of my head. Just another thing I wanted to bring to y'all's attention, especially since we do live here in Broncos country, to get us even more jazzed up for the current upcoming season. The Broncos have unveiled a brand new white alternate helmet for the upcoming season. This will only be worn with our solid orange jerseys, with the color rush jerseys, as many people have termed to call them. It just got revealed a little bit before I came on the air, and let me tell you, folks, it is a beautiful helmet. It's white. It has the classic Broncos logo from the 60s that was used up until about the 90s, when we adapted to the current logo that we still use today. It's obvious. It's white in color. The face mask is white, meant to resemble the snow-capped Rockies, which, heck yeah, we are the Rocky Mountain State after all. It's still got that blue and orange stripe to it, because obviously the Broncos. But it is a beautiful helmet. Honestly, if they revealed like a white jersey that had that kind of color scheme to it, I would snatch it up in a second. It is just absolutely crazy right now. The hype surrounding this current Broncos season, I feel a lot better than I did going into last season. I mean, we got Sean Payton, we got some notable free agents, and we know Sean Payton isn't going to cut Russell Wilson a whole lot of slack. Either he gets it together or he's gone. Sean Payton is one of the most respected and one of the winningest coaches in NFL history. He knows how to build a championship team. He's done it before. He took the Saints to the Super Bowl, and they won the whole thing. He's been in the playoffs, God, who knows how many times. If there's a man who knows what it takes to build a playoff caliber football team and get them to the promised land, it's Sean Payton. I'm extremely happy that this new ownership group, the Walton Penner ownership, they have a fancy name, but I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, that they're very much putting their money where their mouth is. They've shelled out the money to get Sean Payton to sign these notable free agents. The Russell Wilson deal had happened prior to the sale of the team, so that was still part of more of like the Pat Bowlen era of the Broncos, or the Pat Bowlen Family Trust. R.I.P. Pat, still one of the greatest owners in NFL history. But not only that, but this ownership group has shelled out $100 million to renovate Empower Field at Mile High. They've upgraded the food and beverage options. They're adding more elevators. They're updating the ribbon board going around the seating bowl to this brand new high dynamic range 4K resolution board. Keep in mind, the scoreboard that we had at Empower Field, the original one, was tiny. In 2012, we upgraded to an even bigger board, which at that time was one of the biggest in the NFL. 10 years later, we're making it even bigger. It's a lot taller. It's a lot wider. This board, if you look at pictures of it, it is gigantic. It is the fourth, excuse me, it is the fourth largest video board in the entire NFL. Honestly, I feel for a little bit for the staff at Empower Field because they've had it busy this summer now, haven't they? They had to not only work on all these renovations, in just in a few short months with the off season in between. Wow, I can't talk today, folks. Maybe I've had too much caffeine. No, that's not possible. They've had to work getting these renovations done in just a matter of months from one football season to the next. All the while, Empower Field has continued to host event after event. We had George Strait in there. We've had, I don't even remember how many concerts we've had. Oh, we had Excision in there doing 3 sets back-to-back, the biggest EDM show in North American history. Congrats. That was an absolutely insane production. I'll give them the props for that. We had 2 nights of Taylor Swift in there. We're about to have Ed Sheeran in there shortly. So that means all the while we have crews in there renovating the stadium. We have other crews in there setting up for these monstrous events. it's been a busy time. As for the Taylor Swift shows, they went incredibly successful. Both nights sold out. Of course they were going to be. Taylor Swift she right now, I'll give it to her. And I'm not even going to pretend to be blind. I'm a Swiftie. It's known that I'm a Swiftie. She's currently the music industry right now. Obviously, we have other artists that are getting very big as well. But to get to such a point where each tour stop is a phenomenon. Keep in mind, her shows were on Friday and Saturday. On Thursday morning, the merchandise trailer showed up at Empower Field. We had thousands of people lining up at 10 a.m. to get merchandise a day before even before the shows aired. Before the shows went on. I can't talk today, folks. I'm so sorry. That is huge. It's gotten to a point at each stop as of late where you had thousands of Swifties who couldn't get tickets. I can't say I blame them. I couldn't afford those tickets. You know, even the cheapest ones, I just couldn't afford them. The resale value was just so ridiculous. But when it gets to a point that you literally have thousands of Swifties showing up outside the stadium just to, even if they can't see Taylor, to at least hear the shows and tailgate and party it up. When it gets to a point that so many people descend upon these stadiums with or without tickets, and the authorities in these cities, including Denver, had to say, hey, we know you want to see her, but just for logistical and safety reasons, if you don't have a ticket, stay away from the stadiums, basically. That's how you know just how much of an impact this has had. We saw it in Chicago. She did 2 nights at Soldier Field. There are tons of parks around Soldier Field. I've seen them. I've been to Chicago. Ha. Shameless plug. Thousands of people who could clearly hear the show all just descended around the parks. They weren't in the parking lots. I mean, if you look at Soldier Field, there's hardly any parking lots there anyway. But all the parks around Soldier Field, they were swarmed with people just listening to the show. Kansas City, same thing. They had to tell people, hey, like, if you don't have a ticket, just stay away from this area. It's going to be a nightmare to get out. And keep in mind, I've gone to Empower Field for multiple shows and a Broncos game. Those parking lots, they're a lot of fun. I love tailgating before concerts. Didn't tailgate before the Broncos game because we just had somebody about to go into surgery. You know, we had logistical issues that we had to sort out. There obviously, tailgating was not the priority that day. It was making sure that we could get in and out of the stadium in one piece with somebody in a wheelchair. It was a pain, but we made it through. But prior to that, yes, we would tailgate before concerts. And it's a blast. I absolutely love it. If I can do it every time, I will. But those parking lots, as much as I love them, they are a nightmare to get out of at the end of a Broncos game, concert, whatever you want to call it. If you're at an event at Empower Field and that event is a sellout or close to selling out, you're going to be there for a while after the show, game, event, whatever. We've learned since our first concert at Empower Field when we went to see Metallica back in 2017, me and my friends have learned we don't even start the car until almost an hour, if not past an hour after the show has ended. We're not going to be stuck in the crowded lines of people trying to get out of the stadium. We're just not going to do that. That's just too much work, honestly. What we did for this past summer when me and my buddies went to go see The Weeknd at Mile High. Yeah, no, the show ended at 11. It was 12:15 when we actually turned on the car and we were able to get out. I myself still didn't get home until almost 2 a.m. because my friend, he lives out by DIA. I agreed to give him a ride back, which no biggie. You know, he's my homie. Shout out to my homie Brian. Also hooked me up with a Paramore shirt this past week when they were here in Denver. So, you know, shout out. You know, he's worked with me. I've worked with him. We're brothers. That's how we just make it work. And from there, excuse me, having to drive all the way back to Greeley, that was a crazy. Excuse me, folks. This cough has still not truly gone away. I'm as close to 100% as I'm going to be for a while, so we'll take it as it is. But I absolutely loved it. But we've just learned since then to, if there's a show at Empower Field, like, just wait like an hour. The parking lots will clear up just enough that you're not stuck there just idling away your gas tank. But it's so much fun. I love Empower Field. I love and I've seen basically every single incarnation of Empower Field that you can. The original scoreboard, the new scoreboard, the new upgraded design. Now, there are rumors of potentially a new stadium being built, because right now these NFL stadiums are becoming more than just stadiums that are only used, 8 to maybe 11 times a year if your team makes the playoffs. And they're just becoming these huge events. Like right now, stadiums with retractable roofs or even like translucent roofs, like what we're seeing at Allegiant and SoFi stadiums, that allow these stadiums to be used year-round to host bigger events like WrestleManias, big concerts, UFC fights, the Final Four, are becoming more and more the norm. And these stadiums are just getting increasingly more lavish, more luxurious, more insane. Mile High, as great as and iconic as a stadium as it has become, it has some incredible luxury options. I've been in the United Club. Awesome place. It is, by comparison to a lot of other NFL stadiums nowadays, it is a little bare bones. However, part of me, I like that charm of it. Like, if I want to go to a nightclub, I go to a nightclub. Like Allegiant Stadium, they built this nightclub in the end zone, which, I mean, cool, novel, but it's like, I'm here to watch a football game. I'm not, like, if I want to go to a nightclub, not that I really go to any anyways, but if I did want to go to a nightclub, I'm not going to a nightclub in a NFL stadium. But I get it, gotta pull in the money somehow, gotta turn these places into tourist attractions that can be used year round. I get it, you gotta make money somehow with these monstrous buildings that take up a lot of space. My only real request of the ownership group, if it is true that they are looking at either building a brand new stadium or or doing a massive overhaul onto Empower Field, all I ask is please at least make it a retractable roof. If you are planning to put a roof on it, just to keep, especially during the summer, to keep that charm in there, to keep that atmosphere, and actually not just the summer, but the winter, because we have such an advantage here in the winter. I mean, a snow game at Mile High is unlike anything else on Earth. The altitude is already one thing. Throw in the snow, that is an incredible home field advantage that I don't ever want to lose. So I just hope, if you are going to do it, only close the roof if you're doing an event that you just absolutely cannot have the roof open. If you're doing like the Final Four, obviously can't have the roof open. If you're having like a very huge elaborate concert, where it's probably easier to close the roof if it helps with the acoustics, okay, whatever. But do not close it for football games. That's all I ask. Also, too, if you are going to do it, please make it kind of a translucent roof. I like sitting personally on the north side of the stadium because, excuse me, you get this amazing view of the south end zone, the south stand, some of the rowdiest fans in all of football. You get this crazy view. Yes, you get part of the Denver skyline in there, but you also get this view of the mountains. Don't take that away. If you are going to put a roof on it, okay, put a translucent roof on there. And also, the steel flooring that causes that stadium to be so bloody loud, don't rip that out. Please don't. Don't replace it with concrete. Don't do none of that. Keep the steel floor. And I like the location. If there could be possibly maybe some ways to try to help ease the traffic congestion around there to get in and out of the parking lots easier, if there's a possibility to do that, please do that. I do not want to see the stadium move from that specific site. It's right in the heart of downtown Denver. It's in the heart of the city, for better or worse. But I love that feeling because not only does it feel like an opposing team is just facing the Broncos, it feels like they're facing all of Denver. It feels like they're facing the city that's ready to jump on top of them at any minute. You kind of lose that with stadiums such as like Levi's Stadium, where they're out like in the middle of bloody nowhere. You lose some of that some of that advantage, and I don't want them to lose that. If the traffic patterns can be eased up a little bit, I'd love that. But obviously, I'm not a stadium designer. I'm not a traffic coordinator. The people that make those decisions make a lot more money than I do. Those are just my chimes as a Broncos fan. But also, too, please, for the love of God, keep the tickets affordable. Yes, I know it's the big thing to have the clout, if you're an Instagram influencer or whatever, to take your pictures there, post them on your social media page. But don't price out the common football fan. Don't price out people like me. It took us forever, and we got lucky to finally be able to go to a Broncos game. I had an amazing time. I want to be able to do that again and again if I can. Obviously, to get season tickets, that's out of my reach right now. But to be able to at least go to a game and at least have it be mostly feasible to go to a game, please keep that. If you want to have your super expensive, super VIP tickets, then go ahead, have those sections for those people that have that kind of money. But please do not price out the common football fan. Those of us who follow this team for better or worse until the end, don't price us out of that stadium if you are going to upgrade it, if you are going to build a new one. That's all I ask. And that about wraps it up here. We are getting close again to the top of the hour here on the Dumpster Fire 3.2. I told you all last week I was going to make it a longer show this time. I feel like I owed it to you all after the last few weeks of short episodes, and here we are at the conclusion. I'll be back again next week. We are winding down the summer semester. We'll see what happens in the fall semester. At this time, there's no tentative plan, so I'm not going to announce anything yet until we have a plan that's closer to fruition as to what will happen to the format of the show. The entertainment will stay, and that will stay as long as I am here behind this microphone. Whether I have a co-host or not, we'll see where it goes. I'm game for anything. But this show will always stay an entertainment show. I said it at the beginning of this episode, and I will close with it now. This show is meant to make people laugh, to entertain, to be funny. I am here to be your escape from all the other garbage that we have to deal with in the world on a daily basis. Now, obviously, I'm not some advocate for change or anything like that, but if I can at least make a person's day more fun, more entertaining, if they can even take 5 minutes out, and for those 5 minutes, if they can forget all this other nonsense, then I've done my job. If I made a person smile, or if I made a person go, okay, this guy sounds really ridiculous, but he's funny, I did my job. And like I've said over and over again, doing this show is like the thrill ride of my life, because I never thought I'd get such an opportunity. And I'm not going to waste a single one of these opportunities, because who knows when they could happen ever again. I believe in taking each day as it comes, leaving it just one day at a time. I'm not going to quote Vin Diesel and be like, I live my life a quarter mile at a time, because I do not drive that good. Not good enough to pull off any of those stunts in those movies, I can tell you that much. But I thank you all so much for listening and continuing to be part of this crazy dumpster fiery ride. This was a dumpster fire. You were all warned. Thank you.